Gosh, how many times am I going to say I'm excited to read something? And so I'm excited to, oh my God, I said it again. And I'm very excited to get to this one. Oh my God, again. So I'm excited. Nope, I'm not. I'm not going to say excited again. Not saying it. Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today we are going to talk about my reading plans for the month of March. I am going to be participating in Middle Grade March, so I will give you my books that I have picked for that, and then I also have some other adult books that I plan to get to during the month as well. So let's get into it. Middle Grade March is a month-long readathon that is hosted by Krista from Books and Jams, Katie from Life Between Words, and Amanda from The Curly Reader, and it focuses on reading middle grade books. There are 5 prompts along with a group read. You don't have to follow the prompts if you don't want to. They're there to help guide you if you need some guidance. The whole point of Middle Grade March is just to read middle grade books, period. Even if you only read one, you've won. So I am very excited about this. I have a lot of middle grade on my shelves that I would like to read. So I have picked some for the prompts. I don't have one for every single prompt, and I do have some priorities that don't fit any of the prompts. So I'm still going to try to get to those regardless. But we're going to get into those first. First up is the group read, and that is The Brave, and this is written by James Bird. This is a book about a boy who has a condition where he feels the compulsion to count the number of words that are spoken to him in a conversation, any type of conversation. So he is constantly counting the words. It's something that he feels like he needs to know all the time. And because of this, he is having trouble in school. His father decides to send him to live with his mother, who lives on a reservation, and he is moving there and trying to acclimate into his new surroundings and trying to, make some friends and do all these things. So I am very excited to read this one. So this is the group read, and I will definitely be reading it. The first prompt is to read a book with a silhouette on the cover. And for this one, I have The Hat Makers. This is by Tamsin Merchant. This is a new release that just came out. And this one definitely has some silhouettes here inside the house. And this is a book that follows a girl who, her family are hat makers. And what the hat makers do is they create these hats and accessories. And the more accessories or the more ingredients that you put on your hat, they give you different types of abilities or powers. And so, people are always coming to them wanting some new hats or some new accessories. And then one day her father ends up going missing, and she has to try to find out what happened to him, where he is, and try to find him. So this sounds very magical, and I'm very excited to read this. The next prompt is to read a book with a strong family element. And for this one, I am going to pick up The Strangers. This is by Margaret Peterson Haddix, and it's the first book in the Greystone Secrets series. And this one was actually sent to me by Lindsay for our Christmas book exchange. And this one actually also has silhouettes on the cover, so it could count for that too. And this follows a group of siblings who come across a news story that there are some children missing. And the children sound a whole lot like them. They have the same names. They have the same birthdays. And so they start to think, something's going on here. Are we actually missing people? And they have to try to figure out what's going on. So I'll be reading this one for a book with a strong family element. The next prompt is to read a book that has an adventure or a journey, which could be a whole lot of middle grade books. For this one, I'm going to pick up Alessia in Atlantis, The Forbidden Vial. This is the first book in a series by Natalie Lane, and this is a self-published book that was sent to me from the author, so thank you very much, Natalie. I'm very happy to have this and to read it. And this one follows a young girl who finds out that her father may be from Atlantis, and she needs to try to figure this out. She ends up going to Atlantis, finding it, enrolling in school there, and there's all sorts of things happening. There's also a giant frog monster that attacks her at some point. It sounds adorable and will definitely have an adventure and a journey. There are 2 other prompts for this, but I'm not going to pick books necessarily for those. One of them is to read a book that has some sort of retelling or fairy tale element to it. So some sort of retelling or characters from fairy tales or anything like that in it. And then the last prompt is to read a book that was published during the decade that you were born. For me, that would be the 70s. And I am just going to skip this one. I know I don't own anything that was written in the 70s, and I'm not really going to seek out anything as of right now, but I do have a couple other books on my list that are priorities for me that I want to get to. Those are The Keeper of the Lost Cities. This is the first book in this series by Shannon Messenger. I really, really want to read this one. This follows a 12-year-old girl named Sophie. Sophie is a telepath. She is having a lot of hard times with being a telepath and hearing other people's thoughts, and it's causing a lot of problems. And then she meets a boy who is also a telepath. And then they realize that, hey, maybe there's somewhere that we actually belong and somewhere that this makes sense to us and that it's not something that's weird. And I believe they go on adventures to try to figure all that stuff out. So I'm very interested in this entire series. I have a lot of the books in the series, so I need to get started with number 1. And this is on my list of 21 books I want to read this year. Another one that is on my 21 books I want to read is The School for Good and Evil. This is by Saman Chinani, and this is the first book in this series as well. My daughter and I have the entire series now, so we are, she's read the first book. I haven't read it yet, so that's what I'm going to do here. And then if I want to keep going, then we have the entire series to go. But this follows 2 friends who are destined to go to either a school for good or a school for evil, and they pretty much know where they're going to go. One's going to go here, one's going to go there. However, the fate turns out that they are switched, and the one who thought was going to go to the good school is going to go to the school for evil, and the one who thought she was going to go to the evil school goes to the school for good. And so they have to deal with that, basically, questioning their entire identity now. And this one is actually being adapted as well, and there's already been some casting news, and so I am excited to figure all that stuff out and see when that's coming out, and read this first one so I can know what it's about finally. Then one more that I would like to get to, it's very short, it's only 250 pages or so, and that is Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. I have this on my Kindle from NetGalley, and that's going to be my NetGalley pick for this month. I'm not going to do my TBR jar for NetGalley. I'm just going to pick that one. And I also have the Hat Makers on NetGalley as well. So the publisher approved me on NetGalley for that. And then they also sent me a finished copy, which was very generous. So that is going to be another point towards my NetGalley once I do read that one. So those are going to be my middle grade priorities, kind of. I don't know if I'll be able to get to all of them, honestly. I do have some that are a little bit higher up on my priorities. So I'm just going to put them in a stack of priority, and I'll start pulling from the top, and I will just read them throughout the month and see how many I can get to, basically. And I am going to do a reading vlog for that. So all my middle grade stuff will be in a reading vlog that I'll have towards the end of the month. So I'm excited for that too. If you want more information about middle grade March and all the good details and things, then I will leave all of the announcement videos for all 3 ladies down below. And moving on from middle grade, I do have a few adult books I would like to get to for certain reasons. So I'm not going to be doing my TBR jar at all this month, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I do have some commitments and some things that I'm doing, and I'm just not going to have time for anything else, honestly. So March is just going to be, this is what it is, and I'll get back to my TBR jar in April. So the first one is the buzzword for the month, and the buzzword for March is time. And looking through my books, I did have a book that I got from my Christmas book exchange. I got this one from Krista, and it is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. And I believe this follows a man who is a time traveler. Either he's a time traveler or he has just been alive a really long time. Alive for centuries, that's what it was. He's performed with Shakespeare. He's had cocktails with F. Scott Fitzgerald, all the fun things, but he looks like he's in his 40s. And there's going to be something about, I think he meets somebody, Camille, at a dog park, and everything begins to unravel. So I have not read anything by Matt Haig yet, but I'm very intrigued by him as an author, and I really am excited to get to this one. The next one I plan to get to is The Night Swim. This is by Megan Golden, and this is a book I got from Book of the Month. And this one I'm going to be doing a buddy read with Karen. And I plan to listen to this one on audiobook because this does have a podcast element to it. There is a girl that has gone missing, I believe, and there is a true crime podcast that comes into this town and is trying to solve some things and ask some questions. And while they're there, somebody approaches them and says, hey, I also have something, I have a loved one who went missing. Will you help me try to figure this out as well? So I have heard good things about the podcast as far as the audiobook goes, so I do plan to listen to it. And this will be my first book by Megan Golden, so we'll see how this one goes. Another buddy read that I'm going to be doing with Lindsay and Audrey from Chapter and Converse, and we are going to be buddy reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. They both have this on their 5-star predictions as far as Book List Thursday goes. This one was not on my list personally of 5-star predictions this time, but it is on my shelves and it is something that I really want to get to. I have heard such incredible things about it, and I definitely want to read more of V.E. Schwab because I have loved some of her books in the past. So we are going to be buddy reading this one in March. And for my in-person book club, we are reading The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett for this month. And Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library very graciously sent me her copy to borrow. So I'm going to read this and then I will send it back to her. I just didn't have a copy of it. My library has over 200 holds on it. So there was no way I was going to be able to get it from my library in time to read it this month. So Lindsay said, I have it. I've already read it. I'll send it to you. So thank you so much, Lindsay. And then I will send it back when I'm done. But so my in-person book club is reading this month. I say with quotation marks because we've only been able to do it on Zoom so far. We're still have some state restrictions regarding that kind of stuff. So we've only been able to do it on Zoom, but it's been a lot of fun, and this is going to be our next pick. And last but certainly not least is the result from the Try a Chapter tag that Lindsay and I just did for Booklist Thursday. We did a Try a Chapter for 5 library books, and from there we picked one to add to our March TBR, and I decided to pick Saga Volume 1 for my March TBR. And I really just needed to do this because I do have a lot going on for March. And I legitimately really enjoyed this first chapter of this graphic novel. So I'm adding this onto my TBR for March as well. And that's going to be it. That's kind of a lot. But with middle grade, those can go a little bit faster. And I don't know that I'll be able to get to all of them, but we'll see how many I can get to. And then adding some adult in there is going to help break that up a little bit. So I think this is pretty realistic at the same time. And that's going to be it. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. I will have all these books linked down below as well if you're interested in any of them. I encourage you to check them out. And let me know what you're reading in March. Are you going to do middle grade March? Are you planning to pick up any middle grade at all? If not, what are your plans? Let me know. And I will talk to you guys again very soon. Hope you have a great day.